All right, everybody, welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast. This is episode 6. We've all had a pretty interesting weekend, so I guess let's defer to the boys, and we'll see how everything's going. So, how's it going?
Going well, going well. How are you doing, Peter?
Well, currently my Wi-Fi is not working at all, even though I'm in a dorm building, because I think someone's just on the router, but, we'll see how this goes.
Don't worry, if your signal's jammed, I'm very much probably following behind you. The only person that is safe from this is Jacob, but Jacob doesn't have Wi-Fi, so who knows when his cell service will just cut out.
It's
Can,
going off
can you
that
explain
LTE.
why you just don't have Wi-Fi?
Probably costs extra.
I have to
Is
pay
that it?
for it.
I mean, yeah, but like, do you just not how do you just not use Wi-Fi at your house?
Because if I'm gonna go do like a decent amount of work, I'll just go to the library, or I'll just use a, and then
Oh,
I'll just have,
Respectfully, that's the most business type energy I've ever heard. Like, oh, if I have work, I'll just go to the library. Like, there's no way I could just only do my work in the library.
Wait,
I
Jacob, I
wouldn't
do have a
survive.
question about your hotspot status. Are we talking like LTE or are we looking at 5G?
5GE, and will switch.
Oh, okay.
Bougie,
Alrighty.
okay.
Okay.
Jacob's smoking that 5G pack.
What can I say? But yeah,
Bougie.
I'll just go to the library if I need to do anything like serious, or like if I'm gonna go like work it for an extended period of time, might as well do that.
You should just go to
But-
Starbucks. It's way closer.
Nah, nah,
That's all you gotta say about that.
just nah. It's just like one of those. I've never really done it, so I mean, maybe I'll try it out once, see how it works. But for now, it's just the walk to Hillman, and then that's it.
That's fair enough. I could not survive without Wi-Fi. I don't know like what I would do.
I don't know how you're doing that. Like, how do you live without Wi-Fi and just run a hotspot?
Well, I don't run hotspot that often. I try not to like use the hotspot as much as I like. Like I don't want to use a hotspot to an excessive amount. So like
My
but-
favorite
Wait.
thing is the fact that you just don't use your TV. If there's any type of sports game on and we want to call and talk while the game's going on, you can't because you have to use your phone.
Well, what I can do is like I can just mute the game on my phone, and then I can just talk with you guys. And I guess I won't have like the commentary, but
Oh, I don't care for the commentary at all. Most commentating is terrible.
they got some guys that are like pretty good. Like Gus Johnson, he's really good. Mike Breen, of course, he's pretty good. They got some other guys. I mean,
Oh,
just absolute crazy like announcers. But I feel like Gus Johnson isn't like he doesn't get like very like many primetime games or anything like that, but he's crazy. The Hornets announcers though,
the
They-
Hornets announcers are always wilding. I don't know what they are
They're
on.
hype.
Like the way they just scream Miles Bridges' name after he does anything at all. It's like, oh, Miles Bridges. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. And then like LaMelo will follow up. They're like, oh, LaMelo. They just like they're all over. Like they're not even. I don't even think they're quality announcers. They just like lose their mind during any play, and it always makes Bleacher Report.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, then you got like some of the more, I guess, guys that have been there for a decent amount of time, like Joe Buck. Didn't Troy Aikman get annoyed the other day that he couldn't call the Cowboys game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think in
Yeah, he's
general, I just
salty
don't.
that Romo had it.
yeah.
Romo's so good, but I don't really care for commentary in general. I'd rather watch and talk to. I'd rather talk to people and then just watch the game in the background than listen to the commentary. Speaking of commentary, though, I was just looking at this yesterday. The call that Chris Collingsworth did for the Philly special and the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl is the worst call for one of the most wild plays in like NFL history in terms of like the context for where it happened. It is such a weak call, and like you have to go look at like Kevin Harlan doing it on like the radio for you actually get a quality call of them. Like Chris Collingsworth is like just like no reaction to the fact that Nick Foles just caught a touchdown pass on a 4th and 2 right before overtime. It is such a soft call.
I got a feeling that Chris Collinsworth probably started off by saying, "Whoa, here's a guy that like ... because I swear that's what like how he always starts off by talking and like just that
This is
is
a
like
guy who ran a 4.4 at the combine and really had that speed to take the top off of the defense.
exactly that is Chris Collinsworth.
There's the one guy who impersonates him on Instagram, and he's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. He does a lot of people too. Like he does Nick Saban spot on. He did Coach O at Ogeron.
Coach O is probably so funny to intimidate.
It's so yeah, it's so funny. It sounds like he's just got something like just like in his like it just seems like he's got like a chicken bone in his like throat or something. It just seems messed
The
up.
whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But yeah. Raj, do you have our NFL meme for the
Yeah,
I
I
was starting
do.
it off early.
Yeah, it's actually a picture of the Giants' new head coach, Brian Dabble. Am I saying that right?
Fable?
Dable. Yeah, it's a picture of him looking like an attorney whose clients all go to jail. If you all want to take a look.
Kind of looks like Kingpin, just like not in the right.
That was my first thought. I was like,
Stop talking about Kingpin. Daredevil season 3 is so good.
It is.
I've been slowly moving forward through it because schoolwork's just gotten like more crazy, but like I have to run on the treadmill these next 2 days. So like I watched like one of the episodes. It's like it is so, like season 3 is by far the best season that they did. And I'm only on episode 4, but no, everything with Kingpin and Wilson Fisk is very like good. But no, Brian Dable does look like Kingpin, and that situation is just all sorts of messed up.
Boy, do I love the Giants.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that season 3 of Daredevil was the best season.
Save it.
I was like I was. It was good that Peter gave you the context because like the transition from seasons 2 to 3, I was like kind of just confused with. I was like, okay, he got like something happened to him. He's like injured in some sort of way. Okay, I'll just run with it. But I mean, aside from that, like the season's really good. Like I'll go ahead and say that yeah, season 3 of Daredevil was better than season 3 of Arrow. I'll say that. I don't think that's a like like it's not like a controversial opinion. I think that's just pretty fair. I think it's clear. But
Yeah,
I'm
Save
so
it for the extra cycle.
yeah.
One day we will sit down and record
One
it.
day.
Yeah. So that means Raj and Andre. So you guys got some homework to do.
Dude.
it's
Lot
an
of
extra
homework.
cycle. Doesn't mean all of us have to be here.
Okay.
It'll
And
just
like
be-
I can
just be
catch
bigger
up and
than-
watch shows. I think it's only fair if Andres decides to catch up and watch a show, considering he hasn't done it in a while.
Yeah. And Justin and Peter, wait, didn't you both say you were going to rewatch parts of Arrow?
I'll try to. I'm behind on. So my goals are to watch Wally because I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Wally and Kanto, and then I had to finish the book of Boba. I had to catch up or finish the book of Boba Fett. When I have time to, because I haven't watched since the episode 2. I mean, it's probably gonna be better as a binge anyway, so it's fine. But I know I've seen some of the like clips and like pictures from the episodes, and I mean it's a little bit of a spoiler, but like I'm just like I can see the Mandalorian handling Darksaber, which is pretty cool. But so we'll see where it goes. But no, I gotta catch up on those first. But I'll probably rewatch parts of Arrow before we do the extra cycle on that, which I'm sure will get no views because no one really cares about a pointless Arrow and Daredevil debate, but we do, so we're gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but mad
Still
respect
writing
for
my 3-page paper on it. I'll do it.
Please do it. Please do it.
I respect it. No, but Justin, respect
Alright,
for wanting to
excited.
rewatch Wally.
No, because like it's just like with those Pixar movies, and if you'll see this is probably like a week after, so you'll have another extra tier list that had come out. So like the one about Pixar is really like interesting because I'm sure in my never watched tier I have A Bug's Life, Brave, and Wally, and obviously I think out of those 3, the one that really stands out is Wally that I haven't watched, and it's kind of a situation where I am very confident in my life I have seen Wally. I understand the point of Wally. I understand that it is a fantastic movie, and I know the characters in it. But the problem is I haven't seen it in so long that there's no like I don't have a reason that I would put it in S or A tier. I'm sure that's where it will end up because I know like the reputation of the movie. But I couldn't sit here and provide people reasons why the movie is so good, so it doesn't get ranked. Same thing with like Brave. Like I'm sure I've seen Brave, and I'm sure I've seen A Bug's Life as well because that was kind of like the era and time which we grew up. Like some of these more newer movies, we wouldn't like care to see as much, like kind of like a Soul or whatnot. Because I mean, Soul's a little bit deeper themed, but it's like it's a Pixar movie, and we're all 19, 20 years old. So, but no. So I'm sure I've seen some of them, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So I really do want to rewatch Wall. Like there's been multiple times like in the past like year where I'm like, yeah, I really need to see Wall-E again because I don't remember the film, but I haven't had the opportunity, and now I'm gonna finally do it. I'll probably watch it like similar to when I watched Encanto because I've also heard Encanto is really good, and I'm excited to watch that. And has anyone else seen Encanto?
Nope.
I've
No.
watched like half of it, but
Jacob,
Wally,
of
mattered. Like,
course, Jacob didn't watch it. Like he hasn't watched like 8 of the Pixar movies on the list, which is completely embarrassing. I can't comprehend why you haven't seen 8 of them.
Well, I've seen the ones that matter. Even though Bug's Life is kind of technically OG, I would say that doesn't really matter. I feel like if you have A Bug's Life like is one of the best movies you've seen for Pixar, that's a Pixar movie, right?
yeah, it is.
Then you probably don't have a good take on just movies in general.
A Bug's Life
Um,
explains a lot of life lessons, Jacob, if you understand the plot.
Bro, Bug's Life wasn't a good movie. Come on now.
Yeah,
Are you gonna have
nothing
that in S tier?
special.
Would
It's
you
just-
have that
it's
in S
nothing
tier?
special.
I never said I would have an S tier. I'm just saying its
Okay.
plot is very important to developing children.
Well, Jacob,
Okay. Well, there's other movies that are better at that, and
well,
TV
Jacob,
shows.
but Jacob,
But
you're doing exactly what I told you I wasn't gonna do and rank a movie that you haven't seen. Oh, you have seen A Bug's Life. Never mind. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies. Okay,
no,
hold on.
it's just
Hold on. I'm gonna call you out here, and I need everyone else's opinion on this. Jacob, you haven't seen Luca, Soul, Inside Out, Cars 3, Brave, Onward, The Good Dinosaur, and Finding Dory. There's no way you can just tell me you've seen all the ones that matter.
yeah. I've seen the OG ones.
Yeah, but like I would Inside Out is probably one of the better Pixar movies in my opinion. It's like my 4th favorite Pixar movie, and Soul is also really like Finding Dory is like a sequel to Finding Nemo. There's no way that you can justify not seeing like this many of them.
I would say the ones that I would want to see, just because I've heard good things about, are um, Inside Out and Finding Dory. Cars 3, I haven't heard the best things about. I'm assuming it's better than Cars 2. Brave, I never heard really the best things about, and then the rest of the movies they're just newer, so I'm not like I would want to go, I guess, invest the time in watching these older movies, like if since they don't have the nostalgia factor. But I mean, that being said, I mean I love Pixar. I think Pixar, like the jokes that they have in the movies for like adults as well as like
You love
you
Pixar
know,
so much you haven't seen 8 of the movies.
well, because I'm not gonna want to go watch a bunch of movies that aren't like, that aren't for my age range, like right now.
Well,
I don't
Like
know.
Jacob,
I'd rather
I would
watch like
say
TV shows and stuff.
I would say Inside Out, Soul, and Onward are all like and Finding Dory would be like age appropriate movies. I would say like Brave is not really like Brave and Luca are pushing, and Cars 3 are pushing, and probably The Good Dinosaur are probably pushing a little bit of like age appropriate. Inside Out and Soul I think are definitely. Soul is a very deep movie about like the afterlife and how we perceive our life while we're living it and appreciating life while we have it. So I don't really think that would be considered like not age appropriate.
Okay, well,
Jacob.
if that's the case, then maybe. Yeah.
Wait, Jacob. Wait. So I'll say like you have like you say you've watched all the OG movies, and I'll give you that. Except if you want to say you've watched all the OG movies, you technically have to watch Cars 3 and Finding Dory because they're continuations. And then
Absolutely.
I would say
Cars 3 is not an OG movie. That doesn't
no, but
count.
no. But it bounces off Cars, which is an OG movie. So technically, you have to watch it because it's the
But
end of
that
the
doesn't.
full
But no,
story.
but that doesn't mean it's an OG movie.
You have Cars at number 4 on your 4th
No,
favorite
exactly.
Pixar movie, and you're not going to watch like the end of it.
Exactly. If you have it that high, you kind of have to watch. Like you got to
Well, the
finish out
second
the
one
story.
wasn't the second one just bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but the third.
The second one-
The third's
second one-
better. The third's better.
second
The
one
third's
is
better.
Also, the first one
McMissile.
gets a lot of like the first. Like I like Cars. I want to make that clear. I liked Cars. I had like the Cars when I like some of the
You
Cars
liked
when I
it
was young.
so much that you
I
didn't
love
watch
Cars.
Cars 3. You liked it so much that you skipped watching the final sequel of Cars. You skipped Lightning McQueen's retirement.
But Cars does not get a back like it doesn't get a good rap. You know, it's if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's not like the highest rated on that.
They don't know what
Cars
they're
2
talking about.
definitely isn't, and I don't
Air-
think Cars 3 really is.
They
No,
don't
I
know
don't
what
get
they're
it.
talking
Arrow
about.
isn't also rated that high on Rotten Tomatoes either. Imagine that.
Okay, well, you know what?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Toy Story clearly isn't 100%. Like, there's not like Toy Story isn't clearly the best movie. Like, no flaws in it, but it still is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Toy Story 2 is also 100%. It's not like that good. You know, it's not like 100%. It's good. Both
It's
of them
not.
are
It's
good,
good, but not like
but
better
it's
than
not
Cars.
like
Good.
there's no way they're 100%. So obviously, yes, Rotten Tomatoes isn't the best. I guess site for a judgment, but we've used it in the past here, so I'll just use it again. But just that being said, I have seen the OG movies. I think Toy Story is probably. I mean, I've put it on my number one for S tier, right? I mean,
Which one?
Your
Toy
tier
Story.
list.
You put Toy Story on number one overall.
Yeah, I think it's the nostalgia factor, the toys that I like Buzz Lightyear and Woody. I had both of those as a kid.
Did you ever see them walking
So-
around?
What?
Did you ever see them walking around out and about?
Nah, every time I would turn around, even if I turned it on really quickly, they'd always be on the ground. It kind of disappointed me.
You'd hear a faint "Jacob's coming." So
Exactly.
and then he actually had his name written on the bottom of Woody's shoe.
The boot.
I did.
There's a snake in my boot.
I actually did.
Did you
Well
also
done.
like write the C backwards too, like J A, and then the C was backwards O B?
Yeah. No, 100%.
No, as Justin was saying though, Soul and Inside Out definitely hold up. They are not kids movies. Like they are very applicable to your life right now. Like is they're works of art. They're very good movies. Soul especially. Like I watched that last year. It was fantastic.
Like Jacob, you say they're out of your age range, yet you play Pokemon, and you pre-ordered the new Pokemon game, which is clearly out of your age range. So, I mean, your argument there saying you're not going to watch these new movies because they're out of your age range isn't really valid.
Second straight week, Jacob's getting flamed for his faulty argument.
Haven't we always discussed that there parts of these games aren't always meant for children?
Yes,
like the
but they
game
made
is this game is made easier, but
yeah, they made this game easier for children. It's even easier now to
there
play.
are parts of the game that aren't made like for children.
I think we're just arguing here that the claim that these movies are out of your age range, I think that there's a couple on your list that would be considered within age range. But well, I really want none of you guys have seen Luca besides me, which is quite shocking because Luca was very popular when it came out.
How recent was it?
Luca was I don't even think it was a year ago. I think I watched it in the summer.
See, that
No,
one looks like it looks like one of those like really childish ones. I think that one. I don't know. I mean, I can't say that for sure. You can say that's up to you. Like, because you've watched it. Would you say?
Sorry, June 18th.
Would you say it's more of those
I would definitely say I think it would say more childish. It's more about like taking chances and like making the most of your life and kind of like being who you want to be. So I think it's definitely a little bit more kiddish. I'm just shocked that no one else has seen it. Just because I mean when Pixar drops things, everyone watches. That's generally like since it was a direct to video release, so I'm like right on Disney Plus. So I mean, I don't think it really fits our demographic for sure, but I'm shocked that not one other person has watched it.
I didn't even know it existed, honestly.
I knew, but definitely knew about it. Just I don't know. Didn't really ever get around to it.
It's a cute movie. It's just not like. I mean, we lose some of the nostalgia factor, but also I think they're going for big themes in Luca, kind of about your sexuality and like being comfortable in it. That after you watch the movie, you kind of learn. Like I learned that they were trying to go for those themes after watching the movie, and I don't really think it is evident in the movie that those themes are present. So then when they come out afterwards, it's kind of like when they have to tell you that the two characters in like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, when they tell you that Usami and Korra are dating, but they like have to tell you through like news releases because it's not very clear at the end. It kind of like just sours like the messaging a little bit. So yeah, I think Luca is fine. But no, just shocked that a lot of you guys haven't seen The Good Dinosaur either.
Is that
I don't
another
think
one of
I
those?
plan on ever watching.
Is that another one of those childish ones?
I think the good. So I watched the good. So my plan was over COVID, I took all the Disney and Pixar movies and I put them on like a big whiteboard. And my goal was because I thought, pandemic, I was like, yeah, I'll have tons of time, which I had time, but like it's not as much as you think. And I put a whole list of these movies I was gonna watch because I was gonna go to Disney, um, for my senior trip. That ended up getting canceled. But then I went to Disney this past summer, with my girlfriend and her family. So I was gonna watch all the movies to like make sure I was like super caught up. There's a lot I had to watch, but like a long time ago, whatever. So I started doing a good job going down. Like I'd watch like the OG like Snow White and kind of like some of those movies again, which was cool. And I was gonna watch some of the Pixar movies. So I ended up seeing The Good Dinosaur because it was on my list to watch, and I had never seen it. I was kind of going through movies I've never seen before, and then going back to movies that I would like to rewatch. So Good Dinosaur is a movie I'd never seen. It's like pretty mid. Like the storyline is like cool, but again, he's like the dinosaur's kind of finding his own, coming like growing up, learning to be mature and take on like kind of a bigger role in his family. So, what do you got, Jacob?
So yeah, I was just checking the tier lists, and I stumbled across Andres's list, and he has Monsters Inc. like fourth on A tier, and he has The Incredibles in B tier.
Yes, I do.
How do you defend? Like, how can you defend that?
The Incredibles is good. It's just overrated.
How?
Jacob, why are you deflecting right now?
Well, it's just overrated.
What do you mean
I-
deflecting?
My Wi-Fi might be terrible right now. Andres, I'm gonna. Oh, you're saying The Incredibles is overrated.
No, I think it's a great movie, but people like it's not in my top 3 personally.
The soundtrack is fantastic. You love the characters. Everybody, buddy, like I wanted to be Dash when I was younger. Like, come on.
Okay, yeah,
You
that
better
is
start
true.
praying that my Wi-Fi cuts out, because if I can get on a full-on rant right now, this is gonna be the end for you.
No,
The
go for
woman
it.
that tricked Mr. Incredible was named Mirage. Like, is that not
Okay,
crazy?
Jacob,
that's a
that was
character.
not
That's
Jacob.
doesn't help your case.
Jacob.
But
If you didn't
I am
catch
not
that,
like
the
that's
fact that
super cool.
you caught. Okay, no, back up, Jacob. This is a
Yeah.
movie made for children. How did you not catch that Mirage was gonna turn on Mr. Incredible? How did you not realize that, like, in the not like 19, nearly 20 years you've been alive, that
Probably.
Mirage,
I
that
just hadn't been-
character?
I didn't. I guess I didn't know the name of that character.
Oh, I guess
just
okay,
knew she was
that's fair then.
like. I guess I just like thought of her as like the woman with like the silver hair. Then
Okay,
she
that's
like
fair.
flips back and forth. But
Okay, I
that's
thought you like
super
knew
cool.
her as Mirage, and you didn't put it together. That's like, oh, it's ironic. Like,
Yeah. But no, like I remembered like the core characters, like
okay,
what Syndrome, The Incredibles, obviously. Then you had what Edna.
yes.
I mean, yeah,
Like,
that's perfect.
Andres,
I mean, that
how
movie
can you
was so
say
good.
that Edna
Actually,
mode
wait.
is
Hold-
overrated?
no,
Like,
hold on. Actually, let me rephrase. In
Like,
terms
if
of
you
like
said
objective,
B,
this is completely like my tier list is completely subjective. It's like how much I loved it as a kid and whatnot. But as like an objective movie, I think it is good. But I still like
okay,
like
but
I
why
don't
are
know.
you
It
then
didn't have that
claiming
much.
it's overrated? By who? Are
I
you
don't know.
saying
Like
it's overrated in your opinion? That doesn't make sense.
no,
It's
I'm
your
like
opinion.
well, like people like I don't know.
Is
It's
it
not my
overrated or
top
is it
3.
not overrated?
Also, is your tier list based
Okay.
on what you think or what the people think? Because if the
No,
people think it's better
mine.
than
It's
what you
mine. It's
think,
mine.
then it's
It's mine. It's
overrated.
mine. No, it's mine.
Or
It's
if
mine.
it's yours, then you think
No,
it's not good.
I think it's overrated in this, like in the sense that people like Jacob. What do you have it at in your top 3?
let me check. Yeah, number 2.
Like overrated by like other like you guys. Like I think you guys overrated. Like I
But
think it's
then
good, but
how is
Right.
that a reason
In what
for it in
world?
your tier list, though? That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to poke holes in your logic, because if you're saying your tier list is solely based on your subjective opinion, why are you taking other people's opinions into consideration about knocking it down a tier? You're saying it's overrated based on what other people think, but everything else in your list is like the reasons why you like something is based on what you think.
no, I'm not. I'm not saying that it's overrated as to my reasoning on it being B tier. Like that's just where it is when like how I like
Okay.
how much it's affected me and
Okay.
whatnot. I'm just saying it's overrated in general in the sense that Jacob had it as his S tier. Like I'm talking, it's overrated in his placement,
I see.
but not in
Okay,
not in
that's
my
fair.
placement. That's
Yes.
what
Well,
I'm
Justin
saying.
had it at the same spot. Peter had it at number 1. Raj had it at 4.
Okay, well, yeah, I was using Jacob as an example. Like you guys as a whole,
Okay.
I think it's overrated in my eyes. I'm not saying that it's wrong in any way. I respect it completely, That's just in
Here's
terms of like.
Here's
I
my
like
thing. I think that so many of these Pixar movies are great. That like Andres, looking at your list, the only things I really have an issue being above The Incredibles is Up, Toy Story 2, and that's really it. Like I don't really have an issue with anything else being ahead of it. Um, I think Up is actually an overrated movie.
I honestly agree with
I,
that.
I would I
honestly do
would
agree.
I would
I can see
say
that.
I would say that Up is overrated.
I still
And I
loved
don't
it, but I can definitely agree.
and I don't think that Toy Story 2 is overrated. I just think that you like Toy Story 2 a lot.
No, yeah, no, yeah. That's definitely one of my hot takes. Saying Toy Story 2 that I enjoyed Toy Story 2 better than Incredibles. That's just because I love like the Toy Story story over the Incredibles. But that's not to say that I think it's a better movie. That's just how much I like. Like I just liked it more because of
Okay.
that story.
Mhm.
Also, Monsters Inc. not being like, I feel like Monsters Inc. should also be higher. Like Monsters Inc. is like also has a fan like one of the
Jacob, he has it at 7, bro. Like, come on.
so good. Like the soundtrack is so good. The characters are awesome. Like put
What
that
were
thing.
we roasting Jacob about earlier?
Come on.
The fact
So-
that he says he's out of the age range for the newer movies, yeah, he plays Pokemon, which is a game made for children.
I was wondering because I was like, wait, I remember we were roasting him about something and he was deflecting, and
Yeah,
then
he deflected it right to
I-
Andres.
I
Yeah, but
derailed this
it's fine. Like,
conversation.
I can justify any one of my choices if you want to dissect
Think-
mine more.
Can I
think
say
pivot. Yeah,
Can
say
I-
something real quick.
So what happened is you guys were roasting me. Justin was saying something different. Had changed the topic. Then I started talking because I was, checking out the tier list, and I saw something that caught my eye. And then we were talking about Andres.
That's
So the
fair. That's fair.
conversation had basically ended. So
think-
you brought it back up.
I think
So it's
pivoting
like-
off of this, going to Raj real quick. Raj, I need to talk to you about your tier list. Are you really trying to hit Uzma Cap?
Am I really trying to hit Uzma Kappa?
Yeah.
Dude, that's the most fire frat on campus, dude. Uzma Cap is fire. Dude, those frat parties go crazy there.
They don't mess around at Uzma Kappa.
They don't. Dude,
They
the
almost
monster
get kicked
slide.
off recently. Didn't they have like some allegations against them recently, or like
Something
that's just
coming out about Uzma Kappa.
I heard Uzma Cap might
Talking
have been
strictly about the Monsters University for anyone.
anyone wondering.
I don't know any other thing that Uzma Kappa outside of Monsters University, but whatever
So,
happens inside Monsters University is fire.
There's well, there's no U in the Greek alphabet, so I think we're good there. I don't think there's an actual frat called Uzma Cap.
No, because
Or
Uzma's
Roar
OO.
Omega.
It's
Roar
OO. They use
Roar.
Omega.
Bruh.
I'm a big Roar Omega Roar kind of guy.
Oh, you scumbag.
No, I'm joking. Uzma Kappa till I die. Come on now.
Uzma Cap for life.
But
Actually,
that-
I do really enjoy Monsters University. I think there's like kind of like holes in like the story a little bit, but like it's just a really fun movie like about like college, and you got like these monsters going to college, and like I don't know, it's really fun, a really fun movie. Maybe not an objectively like good movie.
No, I completely agree. And it's some parts are relatable. Like some parts you could like are pretty reflective of real life. Like I think they actually based it off Berkeley, I want to say, and actually
Mhm.
toured there, and it was pretty accurate in some ways, and it was cool. Like Monster University is 100%. You worded it perfectly. It's a fun movie.
I think a lot of the animation team, I think, on Pixar is actually from like either Berkeley or just like some California school.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what makes sense why they would just be like, oh yeah, like there's like that college campus that's pretty famous. Let's just copy all of that and just put it in the movie.
Yeah.
So also another question then. The Incredibles 2 came out like so many years after the first one.
Like 10 years, right?
Something like
Maybe
some
even more. Honestly, it was a while.
but obviously I don't think that, it could have lived up to the hype, but do you think if it came out sooner it would have gotten like better reviews? Or do you
14
think
years.
What'd you say?
14 years after.
Exactly. So it came out 14 years after. So my
Oh.
expectations were probably going to be like, this is going to have to be a perfect movie to live up to like, the wait. But do you think it would have been like what would you guys would say? Like, what would you say about the movie if it come out like sooner?
I probably would have enjoyed it
Honestly?
less because it was the anticipation that like made me more excited for it, and I like it was fun, a lot of nostalgia watching it.
I think Andres is onto something there. I think if the sequel came out sooner, because it was good, like it was a good movie, but like it was just so like the first Incredibles is just like such like in a league of its own that like if you kind of just throw like an average to like slightly above average movie like right after it, it would have just been like really kind of brought down like The Incredibles like as an experience. Because I feel like a lot of what people enjoyed about that movie is that it's been 14 years since we've seen any of these characters on screen or like we've like heard from them. And the fact that they picked it up right where it left off like 14 years ago, and it's like, oh, like this is just like the continuation of the story that like we've all been waiting for. Like I think you kind of like see it through almost like rose tinted glasses where like you kind of like ignore some like the flaws at first and you just kind of are watching it where it's like, oh my god, like we're finally watching this again. So I think
Exactly.
if it did come out a little bit sooner, you wouldn't have had like kind of like that same like nostalgia for it, I guess. That would have really kind of like pushed it into like
Spot
a
on.
better category. But
I think that's a fair point. I just was thinking about it like I've waited so long to see this movie, so I want it to be really good because I thought the first one was really good. I mean, I have number two, right? So, but when it came out, like I just thought it was okay. Like I didn't think it was anything spectacular. I thought it was like just
yeah,
Yeah.
a fun movie, like solid, not spectacular. So,
so you
I think that
didn't,
I think
yeah,
I think this little debate here kind of goes on to like if they had released Incredibles 2 earlier, would there have been an Incredibles 3? Because I think if 6 years, like let's say 6 years before, so that release date would have been 2010 if they had Incredibles 2, and then they followed it up a couple years later with an Incredibles 3, then I think that would have been more beneficial for the series in general because I think that they probably would have taken the mistakes from Incredibles 2 and kind of made it a little bit better in Incredibles 3, and we would have seen those characters more. But I don't really think that the wait had anything to do. I think if you dropped Incredibles 2 a few years after the first Incredibles, then I think everyone would have enjoyed it more. But if you're talking about like dropping it like 4 or 5 years earlier, nah, I don't think it really mattered that much. I think the problem, a lot of people like the movie a ton. I just have a problem with the villain is really the big issue with Incredibles 2.
would you have wanted the Underminer to be like the villain? Like you know, you have that cliffhanger at the end. It's like, what? I'm the Underminer, or like something like that at the end of the first Incredibles, and then he's like there for maybe 5 minutes, and then it's just like gone.
Maybe I don't know how they would have done it. I mean, you have to write a completely different script. I think the Screenslaver or Screenslayer or whatever their name is just a little bit weak, but that's okay. I still think it was an enjoyable movie. Like I said, Pixar really doesn't miss. Everything on this list are enjoyable movies besides Cars 2, and Cars 2 is still like funny. It's just stupid. So, um, I think we're gonna pivot off of Pixar talk for a little bit. That is a place I didn't expect us to go, but we did end up going. I have been thinking about this a lot. I usually ask people this, and I don't know if we've talked about it before, but we definitely haven't talked about it before on the podcast. If you could go back in time to any date, where would you go and why? Because this is something as a history minor that like I think is really interesting because there's a lot of places you can go and there's a lot of things you could do. So I guess Jacob's raising his hand over there. So Jacob, what would you
Um,
do?
I have a question. Like, would it be
Oh,
you go back to that date and then you live it like from that point, or is it you just go back to that date for like one day?
I mean, you can kind of do whatever you want to do at that point. I would say I just take it how you want it. I don't I don't want to put those restraints on what you want. I think it's clear to say that most of us would like to continue living where we are now, considering we live a very luxurious lifestyle where we don't have to go like do things we don't want to do and live without electricity. But no, just take it like a date, like just say a time that you would want to go back to. And if everyone's still thinking, I can go first, but I don't want to just rant.
yes, please.
Well, I do have a quick question. Also, is this date like a date that we have had to been alive for, or could it be before our life?
Oh, well, it could be way before your life.
Okay, cool.
Like a period in history.
All
So
right, all
everyone's
right.
thinking, I will go. I always think it'd be really cool to be around like that, maybe like a month period of time, like when people started to figure out that in 1776 that we won the American Revolution. Like I have to imagine like the parts that like the towns that they had built at the time were just like what like I can't even imagine how big the celebration was at the time for like winning like freedom and independence. Like and like there wasn't like technology or whatever. It's like you're probably just celebrating like massively within your own little like town area. So I always think that would be super fun to be a part of like finding out that you are going to be like a free country away from like European rule.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And like or even like not even the way that I'm seeing it is like, or not even just like the celebration aspect, but just like the feeling where it's like that was like one of the first like true times where like a country had split off, like was a part of a country and like became its own thing. Like that would be just like the like just such a shocking revelation to try and like wrap your head around at the time. It's like this has like never been done before. It's just one of those like keystone moments in history where it's like, oh, I'm living in a textbook right now. Kind of like how we're in the pandemic. It's like, oh, cool. I can't wait till someone has to write a paper on this when they're in U.S. history and we're living in it right now. Like that would just be such a wild moment. Yeah, that's a great one.
Maybe they didn't celebrate. I don't know, but I'd like to
Yeah,
see if they. I'd like to see if they did, and if they did, what did they do? Because like again, just not with the technology and everything we had now. Like it would definitely have just been like a celebration of just like being happy in general versus like throwing a like party wherever. Like it's all like getting us all attention. It's just more about like people just being happy with each other, like their town area. So I think that'd be really neat.
it's really cool.
All right,
Uh,
who else is up?
I think for me, I think
yeah.
the Roaring Twenties.
Oh my god.
Like
All right.
something about when I learned about that in history class junior year, I was just sitting there like, I'm like, you know what? This would be such a fun time to just live in. It's like what the economy was booming, like everything just going on. Like people were like drinking and everything. Everyone was just having a good time.
Would you go
Gosh.
back and would you go back and live your life from the 20s, or would you just go back there for a few years? Because I think Prohibition was in like 1938 or something for a little bit
Yeah,
of time.
I
So
would
yeah, I
go
gotta shut down real quick.
I would go back for maybe like, experience it for a couple months to a year and then, come back to the present.
Raj, you do realize Leonardo DiCaprio isn't actually the Great Gatsby.
I
It's a
know.
work of
I
fiction,
I
right?
know.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
The green light, Myrtle.
The green light. Oh, that was actually a good pull. I forgot her name. That was a good one.
You pulled that from nowhere. I was like,
Yeah,
it took me a second to be like,
It's that sophomore year English class right there.
I gotta love it. Um, yeah, I mean that's a great time period to go to. I mean, there's just like so much going on right there. Because I feel like a lot of like I guess modern society, like you can tie a lot of like our roots now back to the Roaring Twenties, where like like fashion was big, where it's like drinking kind of became this like cool thing to do, whatever. Like parties became more like instead of just like almost like showing off like a symbol of class, it was like just bringing everybody together and just like actually like just getting hammered. Like that was the entire purpose of it. Yeah, like that's a really good time period. I like that.
that's definitely one of the more popular answers if you ask people. They're just like, yeah, the Roaring 20s are super cool. And it's funny, it's like now at this point we're going on the 20s, so like this is 100 years ago.
Yeah.
We're in a real Roaring 20s now.
Yeah.
Andres and Jacob, you got an answer?
Yeah, I do actually. So, a specific date actually would be. Let me pull it up.
A
Just gonna-
specific date.
Yeah, We could start at the specific date, but this whole time period. So November 6th, 1981, El Salvador beat Mexico to qualify for the 1982 World Cup. So that's the second time in their history they've ever done that, and the last time they've done it. So being able to witness that, like my dad did, would be incredible. And then I'm already in the 80s, which I love the 80s. Like if there could be any time period I could live in, it'd be the 80s because you have good music. You have movies like Back to the Future, Star Wars. Like there's so oh my god, the culture, like pop culture is insane. Like there's nothing better. Like the Karate Kid, the '80s is just where it's at. I'd love to be just living in at least spend a day in the '80s. It'd be awesome.
Um, I've been thinking about it, and there's probably three that come to mind. I'm not sure like which one specifically. I guess in terms of like a good memory, I would probably have to go with the national championship when Bama played Georgia. I mean, that was
God.
like I got to spend that with my dad. It was an up and down game, and like the ending was just fantastic. And then like I guess on a more serious note, probably um, either the day I moved down to New Orleans, and I guess like that, like from then to like the school, or I guess the first day of college, because I feel like I guess with especially with me moving down to New Orleans. um, it was definitely a different culture, a different vibe than where I had been living previously. So I feel like want to try and I guess do certain things over, and maybe not try and become friends with certain people um, that I might not need to like become friends with, because like I made great friends and I'm happy with the friends I have down there now, like my current group. So I guess if I could go back and like do that, I would do that, and then for maybe even a similar thing um, for like first day of college, because I'm happy with you guys now, and I don't change that. Um, but I guess what I would do is try to not put my energy into certain like in trying to like become like friends or like start talking with like certain individuals or stuff like that. Um, or maybe like branch out a little bit and join more like different organizations and stuff like that.
Okay, so Jacob, we're gonna talk it later after the podcast is over because you need to vent. Um,
Deep.
No,
Oh,
like
that was quite deep for a conversation where we talked about the Roaring Twenties, going back to El Salvador, qualifying for the World Cup. I'm going back to 1776,
well,
and Peter's also going
I
to the
was
Roaring
about to, I
Twenties.
was about to completely meme my answer, and now I don't want to.
I can't go back to 1776 or the Roaring Twenties without having to deal with about.
No, time travel might exist.
But no, I'm saying I can't go back
Yeah.
there because I'm black, so I'll have to deal with more racism. So I
Jacob,
don't.
You know what? That's
No,
fair.
that's a good point. It's a good point.
I was thinking about
And
that. I
Raj,
was
you
like,
got to be careful too, man.
probably
Yeah, I
I was
just
thinking about that.
realized.
wait, was Great Britain occupying India at the time? I think they were.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were.
yes, they
They
were.
they decolonized in like 1960 or something like that.
Yeah,
Well, because
but
that's
it was
Gandhi,
still
right? Yeah.
Safe
Yeah.
either.
yeah.
Oh
So I
god.
can't go. Definitely not
Well,
1776.
how about in
Definitely
this
not
scenario?
1776.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, wait. How about in this scenario, like you go back in time, but like you're almost like an observer, I guess. You're not like actually like living there. You're kind of just like a fly on the wall sort of thing, where it's like you're just like observing what's going on versus having to like actually deal with like everything that you're living in.
Oh, then probably the time period with the Mongols. Honestly, always heard about
That's
them
cool.
because I remember I would always watch Crash Course World History, and to I guess solidify some of the topics, and the narrator would always be saying that the Mongols were the one exception with everything, and they seemed like they did terrible things, but it would be interesting to see like how they kind of operated, and they almost like what if Genghis Khan didn't die, they could have taken over a lot more territory than they did. So yeah, I would definitely want to check that out and see
Well,
what that was.
isn't Genghis Khan related to like a lot or like like there's like a large majority of like people in Asia that can like trace their lineage back to Genghis Khan. Isn't that a
Yeah,
thing?
I'm sure it's
yeah,
like 25%. 1 in 4 people
Yeah,
have
it's like
some
something
sort of his
wild like
blood or
that.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's nuts.
yeah,
he
that's
got
That,
around.
nuts.
that,
Dude
that
got
was quite a
around.
different answer from what you initially provided. So thanks for that Mongol Empire insight. Peter,
Mongol Empire.
what meme are you gonna drop on us?
Well,
Yeah,
so
I do want
listen.
to hear this.
Okay, let me set the stage here. So, growing up as a kid, everybody around me, it was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it was like, "Oh, I want to be a football player. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. Oh, I want to be a firefighter." Nah, I wanted to be a paleontologist when I grew up because I didn't understand that dinosaurs are still
Dinosaurs.
dead and you can't actually see them. So, going back to my childhood roots, if I could go back to any time period, whatever, and just be an observer and just like see what's going on, I'm going back to anywhere that the dinosaurs existed, which was between it might have been 365 million years ago, like that kind of like time frame. So I got plenty of time frames depending on like when I want to go back, but I just want to go back and see what was up, man. Like I, I've been so curious about it. Like that's literally
You
one of
might
them.
not last
I
long.
expect it.
I might not last long, but you know what? I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna I'm gonna take a picture of a dinosaur, man, and I'm gonna
Just
come
die
back
from
with
drinking
it.
the water.
Exactly. I am going to take a picture of a T-Rex if it's the last thing I do. So you know what? I'll take
Send
one
it
for the
to-
team.
Send it to the cloud and then.
Exactly. I'll take one for the team. I'll throw my phone back through the teleporter that brought me to that time period and then just vibe there, I guess, because I have to stay there for a day. But I'll do it for science. I'll
Have you,
actually get a photographic evidence.
Peter? I know you've probably watched the Jurassic Park and World
Everything. Yes.
movies. I feel like you should like after watching that, you probably shouldn't go back.
Well, first of all, those movies are they're entertainment. They're not like actually what happened. Like I
Well,
hate to
yeah,
break it to you, like a T-Rex isn't really going to be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what's going on here. Let me just bite through this metal cage that's electrified." It's
Dinosaurs
like,
aren't also going to be able to like trap dinosaurs and like put them in like
okay, yeah, but
exhibit.
like in
Chris
Like,
Pratt's not gonna
Jurassic
train
Park
a
no, I would
2, it's like
velociraptor.
they have
I would
like
not.
no, because like okay, here's the thing. In Jurassic Park 2, they have like this like scene where it's like, oh, we're going back to the island, whatever. And it's like they have like a paramilitary force there, and they're all like letting it rip on a T-Rex, and it's like not even like getting phased whatsoever. It's like, okay, they weren't made out of titanium. Like let's set this like let's be real here. Like if you have we have the resources to be able to handle dinosaurs. I hate to break it to you. But yeah, I have absolutely watched all of the Jurassic Park movies. I think at my house I have like at least 20 DVDs of like dinosaur things. It's like Walking with Dinosaurs or like I forget what the dude's name was, but he was basically like Steve Irwin but with dinosaurs where he would like, "Oh, I'm going back in time to look at these dinosaurs whatever." Yeah. Yeah, that's my time frame. That's what I'm going back to, and I'm standing by that.
Did you watch the Land Before Time movies also?
Absolutely not. I
No?
only dealt with quote unquote real dinosaurs because I was a
Okay,
man of
okay.
science.
My bad, my bad. But what's your favorite kind of dinosaur though? That's what I
Oh,
want to
good
know.
God. Ah, I don't know because like I would always flip flop between a bunch. Um, Maybe I won't be generic and say a T-Rex. Maybe what I'll say is I'll say a Utah Raptor. Because basically in Jurassic Park and everything, how they say it's like, oh, this is the Velociraptor and they're like 6 feet tall. Actual Velociraptors were the size of like turkeys. Like they were really small and they were kind of just like they were just like very small. Like they theorized that they're smart because they have like a large brain cavity, whatever. But they were tiny. But the Utah Raptors were actually what they Jurassic Park like based the Velociraptors on because they're like legit like 6 feet tall, like
Okay.
10 feet long. Like they're enormous and they're so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at
What about
pictures. They
the
look
Toronto
sick.
Raptors?
What about the
What about
Velocipaster?
Kawhi? What about Kawhi? I don't know.
What about
Um,
Aw.
the Velocipaster though?
Velocipaster. Oh, that's a classic one.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hate that.
And then we have the what was it, Jurassic World, that like genetically modified like T Rex that like fought the
Oh,
OG
the
T Rex.
Indominus. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Indominus Rex. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah, they were
behemoth.
just like, "Hey, let's make a T-Rex, but make it smart." It's like, well, how do you know that? Well, literally, how does that even happen? Like, you can't just do that. Like, the suspension of disbelief is really high in those Jurassic Park movies. I will say
They're good movies. Though. I really like them.
they're very entertaining. You just have to kind of turn your brain off a little bit, but like, you know what? It's like, okay, cool, dinosaur killing things. All right, I mean, it's
Exactly.
entertaining, I guess.
So Peter, your dream job as a kid was to be a paleontologist, which I think is a lot of people's dream jobs. But I need to hear everyone else's dream jobs when they were a kid.
Child.
Okay, yeah. Guess I'll start off. It's funny because I used to be big into skyscrapers. So I actually visited the Skyscraper Museum in New York City, and I was like obsessed with buildings, like the Burj Khalifa, the Empire State Building, of course. I was like, it was during the construction of the Freedom Tower. Like I just loved buildings, and I was like, you know what? I want to be an architect. I want to make buildings. So, and being an architect was my original dream job as a kid.
I never knew this about you. This is really funny.
Yeah,
Just
I used to love
admiring. I mean,
buildings.
I definitely admire buildings more than like an infrastructure and stuff than like I used to in the past. But it's just funny. I didn't know that about you, Jacob. What do you
Big
got?
building guy.
I didn't have one. I
Ooh,
didn't have one.
You
Come on, there's
didn't
gotta
have
be
a dream.
something.
There's
There's
never
gotta be
anything that kept.
something.
Do you ever
You
want to
don't
like
wanna
play in the
be-
NFL or anything?
I was just about to say that.
Um, I don't think I was a big enough fan of the like football when I was, I guess, like
Oh
the
my.
age range for that. Like,
What,
I don't
what do
know.
you mean age range for
Like, I don't think
sports?
I like maybe like but like seriously, I don't think so. Like, I mean, that like I guess if I had to pick anything, and this definitely isn't as a kid, it would be super cool to be like the general manager for like a sports team. That would be awesome. But back then, no, I
Well, that's
didn't
what you're
really.
saying now, yeah.
But yeah, but back then, I didn't really have one. No.
That's so strange.
Yeah, back then, yeah, you're like 8 years old. Yeah, give me the corporate job. That's what I want. I want that one. No, playing? No, I don't like sports. Give me the corporate job.
Raj, I know that's going to be a tough act to follow, but what do you got?
Doctor or engineer, take your pick.
Those are also lame
Oh.
ones.
No,
Boo.
dude, this is what I get imprinted into my head as a kid.
You, he's got like the like the hypnosis thing where it's like the circle that's like spinning like on the screen. It's just like his dad's like just putting it up to Raj's face, like, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you need to do this, and you're like, I want to play
MD
football.
or
No,
professional engineer. You
yeah,
can't do anything else. No author. No
yeah.
artist.
But I like to
See-
paint. No,
You do not like to paint. That's so funny because it's like I'm not saying this actually, but it's like your dream job is based on seeking approval from your parents.
oh,
It's like you will be an engineer or a doctor, so the only reason you actually want to do it is so that you get accepted.
No.
no. What are you talking about?
No. No.
Stop psychoanalyzing him, Justin.
Medical schools, you cannot use anything said in this podcast against me or my application.
He actually likes medicine. It's
Yeah,
not
swear.
I like
I
medicine.
swear.
I swear.
This
Big
part is getting
medicine
cut.
Raj, why do you got that cap on?
The cap on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to have a hat and like, early on freshman year I would always wear it. Then I switched to a headband phase. Then I actually started cutting my hair. Then I went to the headband phase in the gym again. Now I'm back to the hat phase.
You really did have a headband phase. Good
I
grief.
did. I did.
Is that the
Wasn't that
pool
long ago?
hat that I gave you?
Yeah, that's a medicine hat because I lost my
Ah,
like my brown pit one.
yeah,
I have no clue where it went. I think I lost it somewhere when we were out.
yeah.
Oh well.
You really hate to see it.
Facts.
Yeah, I loved working there. It was so much fun. Well, no, I also hated it too. But
Yeah, I was about to say. At least they hung your
Yeah.
jersey up in the rafters.
well, okay, let me explain that. So, for context, I worked at a pool as a lifeguard for probably 4 years, probably. Yeah, no, it's 4 years. I started out just like as like a sub, and then like I actually became like a legit lifeguard that got like cycled through, and then eventually I was kind of just like ended up being the oldest person there, and I eventually became the like assistant manager to the pool, and I had four different bosses over 4 years working there. And actually over it might have been it was I guess my summer going into sophomore year. Or no, summer going into freshman year. Um we hired somebody at the beginning of the year. That guy gets fired. Then I have to like step up and be the manager of the pool. And then our general manager, so the guy that like runs everything at the pool, then puts in his 2 week notice. So it's me, another girl in my grade, and then the person that runs the front desk trying to manage a pool when I'm like 18 years old. I have no idea what's happening. And then there's like the general manager's like, okay, yeah, so this is how like the pump house works. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Like I just want to go to college. Like I don't know like how much water pressure I should be putting into this pool. Like it was I love the place. Like don't get me wrong, the people there are incredible, but that place is held together by Scotch tape. And after going there, I don't think I'm ever gonna go to a public pool or let my kids go anywhere near a public pool. It is such a mess. But
I literally was just talking to my friend today about public pools because there's one in Pittsburgh, and I was like, I'm probably gonna stay this summer here, and I was like, well, like it would be cool to have an area to like go to a pool or like a body of water because I'm used to Jersey Shore and whatnot. And we were just talking about public pool, and he was like, "I'm never going in that thing." Like my friend
Yeah.
used to work at a public pool, and it's nasty.
Yeah, it's like once you're on the inside, you see really what's going on behind the scenes. Like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going anywhere near this. It is so nasty.
Yeah, actually, I worked at a
Oh,
public pool too. I was a maintenance worker, and yeah, with the pump house, if there was something going on in there, I had to go grab a manager. I wasn't really allowed to operate in there.
good for you, Andres. You knew your scope of practice and you didn't go beyond that. Me, on the other hand, I still have acid scars on my hands, so that's fun. Um, but yeah, fun times.
Very safe.
Very safe. Very, very safe. It was like there was multiple times where the pumps that were pumping chlorine into the pool would like break and then no one would notice and then I would like come in the next day. I would open up the garage, like it's like basically a sliding garage door or whatever. I open it up and I'm like, oh, that smells like chlorine, and I go in there and not only is the chlorine leaking, the acid pump is also leaking, so it's just making chlorine gas in the pump house. I'm like, oh, that's
Really safe.
cool. Really safe. It's like, oh, don't worry. Just put a pair of gloves on when you go in there. It's like, sounds cool, man. Like, I didn't
The-
realize I was in the trenches in France in 1917.
I will say my pool was it was honestly pretty well run. Like my one of my managers, he's pretty strict guy. He's like a no nonsense, hard ass kind of guy, but he ran the place well, and the pool like it was well run. And I mean, obviously sometimes you'd have to deal with stuff like kids pooping, but that's like standard. And yeah,
Code
no,
Brown.
yeah, Code Brown,
Code Brown's a
exactly.
classic.
Yeah, oh, man, that's the worst because if that Code Brown said Code Brown occurs, that's my job to deal with it. And
Yeah. You
yeah,
gotta dive in there. You gotta get one of those like really
use
long
skimmer.
poles with a net. Yeah,
Yep.
skimmer.
I hope you would kick those kids out of the pool, like
Well, how do you
permanently.
know who pooped? How do you know? What are you gonna DNA test it? Like,
Figure it out
just
and
you
then
can
kick them
smell
out
everyone. Just be
permanently.
like,
Get a little taste and
all right, everybody, get in the line.
Yeah,
of every
you should. Yeah,
patron.
The flavors are just melting in my mouth.
do a
Oh,
police lineup and
cut
then
that.
just yeah.
and
I
you're
mean, those
done,
kids.
Raj.
No,
Oh
And
my
you're
God.
done.
You're done.
you're done.
Yeah, but actually, now I just realized why I got onto the topic because Raj was saying I got my jersey hung up at the Raptors. I just realized that's why we actually got on this conversation. So the whole thing was that like our management sucked, like whatever, like it was terrible. But I was always like, I did my job like as a lifeguard, and like that's why I was like selected to kind of like be the assistant manager, whatever. But I don't know why my managers were so stupid. Like they never like tried to like actually interact with any of the lifeguards that were there. And like yeah, like they were younger kids, like whatever, but like they were still like good people. Like if you like talk to them like they're great, like they're great. But I kind of became like a meme, I guess, like on the staff because like everybody liked me and I was like kind of part of management, but like everybody else they hated. So every time like I walked in, everyone was like, "Let's go!" Like Peter's here, like always gas me up. I'm like, guys, like I'm just doing my job. Like I don't know why you're like going so nuts. So then my last day that I'm working there, this past summer, because I was moving away from New Jersey, um, I had probably 4 or 5 lifeguards there, like closing, whatever. And I would say 10 to 15 additional lifeguards that weren't working showed up to the pool just to say goodbye to me. And then I was like, had my whistle on me. And then one of the guys there, Jack, he was like, "Oh, we got to hang that whistle up." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we got to put it up in the rafters. Like you're like we're retiring a jersey." So they legit took the whistle, they hung it up in the office. And it's like the way the office is set up is like it's like people like sign in, but you can like see into the office. So if people walked in, they could just see in like the top corner, it's just a whistle being hung up, and it's Peter Hughes like from the dates that I was working there. It's like from when I started to like my last day. And then over the top of the door, they were like, "All right, now we got to have a quote." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you got to leave a quote here. You got to like leave a message." And I was like, "Okay." So I wrote "Be great" on a sticky note, put it up there. Then someone quoted me, and they taped it like fully over the door frame with like like not even scotch tape, like packing tape. So like it might still be there because it's like kind of high up, and like that's legit stuck to the top. So, like, I think I really left my mark on this place because I think my name is like all over the inside of that office.
Be great. That's so funny.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that one.
That is funny. That is funny. If you had to put a movie quote, what quote would you put up in there?
Oh, if I could do a movie quote.
One quote.
Oh,
Like I was thinking, like there probably. I mean, it doesn't have to be like fitting to like the setting, just like any movie quote. So like it could be like
wait.
from
Oh, give me a sec.
like Heath Ledger's
I know. I
Joker,
was thinking
or
about
like
yeah.
Thanos. Thanos doing one of his
Your
quotes,
dad,
or like
Godspeed.
I am Iron Man, even Robert Downey Jr.
Dang, wait, come back to me.
Or
I
like
gotta
put
think of
that thing
one.
back where it came from, or so help me, from Monsters Inc.
Oh, or I could have put Honey, where's my super suit?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you got that range. So yeah.
That would have been classic.
It was between that or Muhammad. McLovin.
So on this note, I guess we'll just ask everyone, what quote would you? What
Yeah,
is like
what
one of your
quote
favorite
would you
quotes
have
from a movie?
put? Yeah.
Oh, I got one. It's gotta be "Do or do not. There is no try" by Yoda.
That's a good one.
That's
That actually would've been
classic.
really good.
Yeah, it's a great one. One of my favorite quotes from movies, because I'm a big Harry Potter guy, is "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light" by Albus Dumbledore. It's one of my favorite
The fact
quotes.
that you just ripped that from memory is so impressive.
No, I looked it up.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's what you were doing.
I mean,
I was like,
I knew,
you
I
just
knew,
pulled that.
I knew the quote pretty well, but yeah, no.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you literally just ripped that.
No. I mean, maybe I'll cut it out and I'll seem like I did.
Oh my god. Yeah, should have just went with it. Should have been like, yep, definitely did it.
Yeah. I feel like Jacob's is gonna be "I am the Green Arrow."
You failed
No,
this.
you have failed the
Ooh.
city.
Oh
my
god.
Honestly, I really love "Put that thing back where it came from," or "So help me." I really love that quote. I love the entire that entire scene. I love the movie. So I can't think of anything right now that would has any special meaning or anything like that. Just I like the quote, so I'm gonna go with that one for the moment.
Roger Peter?
Honestly, I mean, my quote, like, I'd probably go with like a meme, and like one of the memes that I've recently like,
NFL memes?
not an NFL meme. This is a Star Wars meme. Just Kylo Ren, just more ... Kylo Ren. Just leave it at that. I would probably go with something memey. I mean, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. But like a legit one, you got to come back to me in like 3 to 7 business days.
We'll get back to you on the next pod.
Yeah.
We'll open with it.
So if I could if I could change the quote from "be great" to a specific movie quote, we'd still stay on the sports theme. But I would do "Great moments are born from great opportunities." That was Herb Brooks from Miracle.
That is really good. It's a really good quote.
That is legitimately one of the only movies I have cried during. Miracle. Why? I don't know. I just start bawling during it.
There was a gem dropped in Daredevil today. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Like when
There's some good quotes in
there's some
Daredevil.
really good, like really philosophical quotes going on while I take a look at it. Someone else can take this over. I want to see if I can find it. It was so good.
Yeah. I mean, there's some that's one of the parts that I really do like about Daredevil. I realize we're just lugging the extra cycle at this point to just keep coming back to referencing this. But the writing in it is so good. That's why when I look at shows especially it's like you have a superhero show, you have a sci-fi show, specifically Star Wars or something. The part that I really try and focus on is it a good show versus is it just a good comic book show? Because I feel especially with Daredevil, it's just a good show first of all, and then it's it just so happens to also be a comic book show. I think that's
I found the quote.
Okay, go.
I found the quote. Thanks for killing some time. It actually it's just about so the FBI agent who's in charge essentially tells another FBI agent that the lies that keep us safe are the ones worth telling. And I think it is a really good quote because a lot in TV shows, it, like especially comic book superhero TV shows, is about the main character not telling people around them that like they are a superhero. It's in every single show pretty much. And this quote essentially is telling you like the lie that you're not, like the lie of not telling people who you are or what you're up to is really the one worth keep telling, because the FBI agent explains that by not knowing the truth, you don't worry as much. So I thought that was a really good quote.
I like that.
I have
There's definitely gonna be some good ones later on in the season. I'll just say that, but
Yeah, I'll keep a running list.
I got three that are more like on a joking matter, but
three.
Yeah.
I was not ready for this.
I've brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to
Oh,
Oh my God.
Get out!
obviously.
Your new empire.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe.
Oh,
But this does put a smile on my face. Had to quote Thanos, and
did you
then
just Google the most famous like villain quotes?
no, actually, no. I remembered those two quotes. I do remember those two quotes specifically because I
He says them
did.
all the time.
Yeah, I said the second quote a lot, and then the I brought peace, freedom. Like, come on, we watched that literally yesterday, like in so many different languages. So I had to memorize that. And then the third one,
Peace.
Justin, you might love this one. We are the Flash.
Oh.
No, I gotta go to the lightning rod. You
No, I
are
couldn't-
you
couldn't
are my
say-
lightning rod, Iris. Just literal tears. Literally, I can feel the tears coming.
I think I projectile vomit every time I like legitimately hear that quote spoken.
Ag, you're dead.
No, Barry. We are the Flash. Can we all run fast? No.
Well, spoilers, they all end up running fast because they didn't know what to do, so they just power scale everything.
Well, I think that will probably conclude the last episode. I mean, not the last episode of this podcast, the end of this podcast. I think we had a lot we talked about and a lot that we covered. So, unless anyone got anything else, I think we'll log off. So, I guess we'll see everyone in their next episode or a future extra cycle coming up.
All right, stay safe, everybody.
Go Bengals.